I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is News and Week in Review, where we're going to dive into a variety of news pieces, the videos of the week, the games I've covered, games I've played, all of that and more, links and timestamps to everything down below. Before I dive into the news of the week, first a reminder that AllPlay is our channel sponsor, and they have an active crowdfunding campaign going right now for both River Valley Jewelcraft, some assembly required, and Things on Strings or Things in Strings. It's Things in Rings and Things on Strings, which, by the way, is the game from that series of 3 games that I am the most excited about, and the only one I haven't played yet. I loved Things in Rings, and I'm curious whether Things on Strings will deliver, or just be a letdown because, you know, sometimes when you love the first thing, the second thing is bound to let you down. Could be either one of those. I'm curious. Either way, check out the crowdfunding page, linked down below, if I remember to change the AllPlay link to the River Valley Jewelcraft crowdfunding campaign link. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into the news. Light on the news this week, not a ton of super interesting things going on. Some important things, depending on who you are. We have a union being organized at Wizards of the Coast, incredibly important to both the people and very relevant to the companies involved. Maybe not as relevant to most of you. We have Cephalofair has some employee changes. What's it called? Oh my gosh. Why am I blanking on the designer of Gloomhaven? Isaac Childress. Isaac Childress is stepping down as CEO to focus on game design for the company, whereas Price Johnson is stepping up from COO to CEO, and Julie Ahern stepping in as COO instead. And then from there was an article on Board Game Wire about Brass Pittsburgh. This is an interview with Gavin from Roxley Games, talking about the decisions that went into the game design, initial feedback around price and perception of value, the change from Kickstarter to Gamefound, all of that and more. You can check that out at Board Game Wire. With that, we go into the videos of the week. Over on the channel this week, we've had multiple videos, the ones that are less board game specific focused, while less game specific focused. We had a video on the Gamefound Feast. The Gamefound does a feast event every 3 months where they go ahead and highlight upcoming campaigns. I do a rankings breakdown covering my own opinion of what I'm most excited about from those games. I generally cover these as my role at Gamefound. I cover them and I present them already, but then I get to talk of them more casually, talking about what I'm actually excited about and why. Sometimes the things that have the biggest names, IPs, interest are just things I'm not as interested in, and I like to be able to talk about just, you know, what has me excited for the upcoming campaigns. Then I did a 17 Board Game Arena breakdown, 17 games on Board Game Arena. This is a series I do on the channel where whenever I've played 17 new games on Board Game Arena, I do a video talking about those 17 games and once again ranking them. Most of them are going to be based on 1 or 2 plays at most, but the ones I really like get a lot more plays and then enter into my Board Game Arena rotation. And I've also discovered some real gems by playing these games on Board Game Arena. Most of the time I discover games that are just passably okay, like solid 3s out of 5s most of the time, occasionally 3.5, some 2.5s and lower, but once in a while I've discovered like Pirates of Maracaibo and Darwin's Journey I played for the first time on Board Game Arena and loved those games. So, you know, sometimes it can be the gateway to finding something you love. In the case of Pirates, I went and hunted down a copy. In the case of Darwin's Journey, I already had a copy, I just hadn't played yet. Then later in the week I had an Awaken Realms Next review. Awaken Realms did their preview event earlier in February. I forgot to cover it at the time, and I remember to cover it because I've been wanting to complain about Scoundrels ever since I saw the page for Scoundrels. Scoundrels is set in the world of Lands of Evershade, and it looks absolutely amazing. I love the mechanics. It's set in the world of Lands of Evershade with the mechanics of Stalker. I love the world of Lands of Evershade, and I love the mechanics of Stalker, and I don't care at all for the world of Stalker. I do like the mechanics of Lands of Evershade too, by the way. But by the way, I have to unbox it already. I have this big box of Lands of Evershade that I have to unbox. The problem I have with unboxings, I may have said this last week. Did I say this last week? I don't know if I said this last week. The problem I have with unboxings compared to what I used to do is I used to ooh and ah over every miniature because every miniature used to be exciting. And now miniatures are not quite exciting anymore because you get to a certain point where you've seen them all and you can't play them all. And so it's like, ooh, tons of miniatures that I can't possibly play with. And so that point in my life where I did all these, I'm supposed to be doing a full video on this. I said I'm going to do a full video on why I'm not as enthralled with big boxes anymore. I'm going to save that for that video. I guess, the main point is kind of covered already, but we'll get into that. Anyways, Awaken Realms Next. If you're excited about Nemesis Legacy, Concordia Special Edition, Scoundrels, then all those things are definitely worth checking out. And with that, we dive into the games we covered this past week. We've covered a lot of games. I had a gameplay and review of Astro Rove, the newest Rove game. That's the small box game from Buttonshy, not the big box game from Addicts Games. Then I had a Behind the Lens review from Inside Up Games. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. There are definitely some nice elements going on to the game. This kind of game I generally enjoy, and I did enjoy Behind the Lens. There were elements of it that makes me enjoy other games more. Still a 3.5. I do like assorting. I like trying to line up different things to optimize my scoring, and the game definitely lets you do that. Then I had the last gameplay of Unstoppable. This is the solo playthrough I've been doing of Unstoppable, playing through the campaign, the 3-game arc. So I had Unstoppable 3, playing on the hardest mode yet. So if you thought Unstoppable was beatable, it is, but not on the highest difficulty levels, or at least I haven't done so yet. I am curious. If anyone plays it on that insane difficulty level, I'd be fascinated to see if you were able to, win. Then we had a review of River Valley Jewelcraft going up on the channel, coming with the obvious bias that, channel sponsor and all that. But you can check out my opinion in it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 that I think will be a 4 with the various additional things that are in the crowdfunding campaign. Generally, I found all play games, a lot of those big box games do go from a 3.5 to a 4 with the differences between the retail and the additional stuff there. Primarily because of that gameplay variability. I like diving into a game, having different aspects to what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to do it, and I find the modules, the changes, goals, things like that can often be a big difference for me as far as that replay potential. River Valley Jewelcraft first game, it's a 4, but I don't rate games based on what they did for me a single time. I rate games based on what they make me want to play again and again. Then from there we had a preview for Bloodwork, but we had a preview was last week, gameplay this week, a sponsored gameplay for Bloodwork The Reckoning. Overall, I think the changes they made to the game are significantly better. The skill system give you a lot more interesting choices as far as how you build your characters that look a lot of fun. Each skill is like double-sided, and where you slot it and how it augments your attacks. The attacking system, the decision you have to make as a player between what's more likely to hit versus what's more likely to crit, as well as the abilities that chain into that. Overall, they made a lot of solid changes to the game design, made it more accessible, more streamlined. I think if you were interested in it before, you should even be more interested in it now. We have a gameplay or a preview. I think the gameplay goes up later. A preview for Vanea, Guardians of the Eldertree. I will talk more about my thoughts about that when the campaign launches and when the gameplay goes up. Solo gameplay, that will be going up. Then we had Some Assembly Required. This is a gameplay for Some Assembly Required from the all play campaign over there. Again, Things and Strings is the only one I haven't played yet, the one I'm most excited for. Some Assembly Required was pretty fine. Overall, your drafting tiles and the drafting mechanism allows for a lot of interesting choices. If you've played games like Azul, there are some really interesting dynamics as far as how you draft things and what's good for you versus what's good for other players. There's almost more creating your own setup than you have in Azul. So a lot of decision as far as how you draft things. The overall what goes onto your board, I didn't find that as interesting. I found the drafting mechanic to be the most interesting thing. The polyomino placement in your personal grid, I didn't find it to be super compelling as far as how things are arranged and how you get the most points for the stuff. So I really like one element of the game. It was kind of more medium on the other elements of the game. And then we have Hitman the board game. Hitman the board game, I have not played this solo. I have heard good things about solo. This is a sponsored preview and gameplay. I thought the gameplay allowed for some fun moments as far as how you're going to tactically outmaneuver the guards, but it did feel pretty straightforward. Also, major asterisks in the gameplay. If you watched it, towards the end, well, I guess I'll say it. I won in the gameplay, but strictly speaking, I shouldn't have, because Meg had actually moved a guard into a spot with my trap, which would have set up my trap. Neither one of us caught that because we were so focused on, like, this trap is for the target that we didn't think about the fact that somebody else moving in there is going to set it off. We were a little too focused in the heat of the moment, but I definitely did not win that game because of that little snafu over there. But there are interesting choices as far as how you're going to assault the target, how you're going to get from point A to point B. I did think it was a little bit more linear than I would like as far as, again, the decisions and the agency you have. Again, I've heard good things about the solo, and I'm curious what modules and expansions add. So I enjoyed it without being super in love with it based on my plays of it so far. And those are the games we covered, which brings us to the games I've played this past week. Some of the assortment of games I've played this week, just a small smattering. We had Kuruka. I've been playing a little bit of Pool and Kuruka. This is if you saw a gameplay on the channel a while ago with myself and Jeremy Tracy, who makes Tracy boards and also makes these Kuruka boards. I'm playing a little bit of that recently because I pulled it out when I first got there. I put it away. I put it in a closet hallway, and I haven't taken it out, and I got to play it a lot this week because I finally took it out and put it into the game room. Then we have Fable and Fury over here. I played this once. I need to play it again because the first play kind of smacked me in the face. It's a light game, very straightforward, and the first play was like, we're just going to kill you. And now I want to try it again to see whether I did something wrong or whether it's just the luck of the draw of what happened in that first gameplay. So I am intrigued. We will see. I will be playing it again, hopefully today. It's already set up. I actually started the game. Yeah, I'm curious about Fable and Fury, but I'll be playing it more. A review coming at some point. We have Arkham Horror the card game. I finally dove into Arkham Horror the card game, the revised set, to try it again after years and years and years. My first gameplay was also almost a mess. Again, if you've played the first mission of the new revised core set, things happened that made me feel very defeated as far as how you would actually persevere towards the end. This made it a very not fun experience. But then in the end, we actually did make our way and successfully completed everything and won. So on the one hand, it was not the best first experience diving back into Arkham Horror after like 5-6 years, something like that. On the other hand, it actually ended up successfully, and I'm looking forward to the next game. I'll eventually have some thoughts and opinions on their new revised core set. I just want to get a few more games in my belt. It's a game I used to play back in the day. I just haven't played it in like 6 years. Or however long. It feels like a while. I haven't played in a while. Then we also had Dice Stone missions, as well as, just the Dice Stone missions. The Dice Stone missions over here, I've been diving into this one, having played with my kids and reminding myself that I haven't actually like fully experienced the game. So I started a campaign of it, and I will be progressively going through the campaign. Biggest critique so far is the first missions are too easy, which I would kind of expect. I do think Dice Stone in general is a very straightforward game. It's a beer and pretzels kind of game night. Honestly, Fable and Fury kind of has the same vibe as far as just like do the things and make decent choices, but ultimately RNG is going to decide how you do. But I am curious about the progression of Dice Stone missions. That's something I never got to see when I played through the prototype, so I'm optimistic. And somebody asked me, last time I mentioned this, I think I mentioned I was playing this last week, and I'm playing it again this week and more. I'll be going through it. Somebody asked for a gameplay of it. At some point, one of the more intermediary gameplays, I will do a gameplay of that. I want to get past the tutorial stuff and the early missions. I want to play one of the harder difficulty ones and see how we hold up to a gameplay of that. Anyways, those are some of the games that I've played this past week, as well as the fact that it's on the table, which means I hope to play both of these, were both in the games I played already, and in the games I hope to be playing. Which brings us to today. Today we'll have a few things going up. I should have a River Valley Jewelcraft solo gameplay with Meg going up on the channel, as well as a deluxeification video. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and one of them will be showing up today. So a deluxeification video showcasing a bunch of deluxe components of a variety of games. As far as this week coming up, we should have an upcoming crowdfunding campaigns video going up tomorrow if things go well. It's already May 2nd, but hopefully it's a little late, but we'll have an upcoming crowdfunding campaigns. We also should have a games leaving and being added to the games leaving and being added for May going up. A few things leaving. I don't know if I have anything super exciting being added. Sometimes I have some. Oh, I guess I do have some. No, it's true. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it in that video. But with that, that is basically that, which brings us to the games on the table. These are games I hope to be playing this week. In fact, a bunch of them I hope to be playing today. I want to have like a solo day today. I want to just play solo games all day and see what happens. Well, actually, not all of these are going to be solo. Never mind. I want to play Dice Stone missions, which will not be solo. I want to play Fable and Fury, which my first gameplay was not solo. My second gameplay is going to be solo to kind of just get a sense of things. I want to be playing Kinfire Chronicles, which is more about learning it, so I'm going to set up to learn it solo and see what happens. And then I want to play Suds and Malone, which is definitely not solo. Yeah, 2 to 4 players, definitely not solo. But that's just one I have on my shelf, and I like to knock things off that are on my shelf. But with that, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you have an excellent week, and as always, I hope you have a good one.